On a quiet morning, Johnny was born in a remote and humble village, a place where dreams often seemed too far, yet his was just beginning. On his very first day of school, he took a small, uncertain step onto a long, winding road where dreams begin. In the quiet courtyard of the school, surrounded by unfamiliar faces, Johnny met Thomas, and in that gentle, silent moment, amid the laughter and light, Johnny met Emily, the third pillar of a beautiful friendship just beginning to bloom. Their friendship blossomed like a wildflower growing freely under the open sky, untouched by doubt. Since early childhood, even with small hands and an innocent voice, he never stayed silent in the face of injustice. His teacher once told him, "This book might change your entire future." And in that moment, he held on to it. He looked at her and said, "One day, I want to become a great lawyer." She didn't say a word, she just smiled, with a quiet confidence. The time had come to say goodbye, but some hearts, the truest ones, don't know how to let go. They never really say farewell. He walked away, down a road that led into the unknown, carrying not just his own dreams, but the hopes of everyone He arrived at the university, his eyes fixed on the sky, filled with wonder, and his heart anchored to a dream he had carried for so long. In the silence of the library, surrounded by books and quiet ambition, he was building his future, letter by letter, page by page, moment. A letter from the past arrived, soft and unexpected, reminding him that a part of his heart was still there. When he finally spoke, every voice fell silent, and in that brief moment of clarity, even his professor looked at him standing in the courtroom, with eyes watching and silence all around, he felt something deep inside, a quiet certainty that Thomas's father appeared not just as a man, but as a quiet door opening toward Johnny's legal dream, a new path he hadn't seen. He learned everything, not through noise or words, but through silence, through careful observation, and the quiet. His first case wasn't big, no spotlight, no headlines, but it was real and it was his. And in that quiet moment, his true beginning, he shared that joy with the very first person who ever believed in him, and though time had passed, he could still hear their voice echoing. The suit was no longer just clothing, it had become a symbol of the man he had become, and the weight of purpose he now carried with. His very first step as a professional lawyer didn't begin in a courtroom, but at the gates of a dream he had been chasing. Success isn't forged only in the light of day, but also in the quiet hours of the night, where no one watches and only dedication remains. He spoke with unwavering confidence, as if the law itself had found its voice through him. Clear, steady, and impossible to. His name was no longer just whispered among people, it had found its way into the headlines, printed in ink, spoken on screen. With Thomas by his side, yesterday's dreams no longer felt distant. They were slowly turning into the plans of tomorrow, built on trust. He returned to where it all began, same place, same streets, but he was no longer the boy who once dreamed here. He had come back as Some trees hold our memories, like quiet guardians of the past, standing still through the years, waiting for us to return, saying nothing. The big city never made him forget where he came from, but it opened countless doors before him, each one whispering. He wrote his name on the door, not just as a label, but as a declaration, a quiet promise to the world that a new beginning. Success was being written in his name, but the hearts that once stood behind him, those who believed, who lifted, who stayed. He was no longer just a lawyer. He had become a name spoken in grand conferences, a voice among the great, and a presence. He returned to the same hall that once inspired him, but this time he stood at the front, to inspire hundreds of dreamers, just like he. Happiness was never found in wealth, but in the smile of a child, feeling safe and secure, pure, and untouched by the world's worry. If you succeed alone, you might rejoice for a day, but when you help others, you live forever in their hearts, a legacy beyond time. He was no longer just a successful lawyer, he had become a beacon of hope for thousands still searching for their way. The same walls, the same familiar scent, but now he was the source of inspiration, lighting the path for those who followed. Amidst all the achievements, she was always the most beautiful part of the journey, the quiet light that guided him through every step. "Dad won the case," he said, his eyes welling with tears, a mix of pride and gratitude shining through every word. The world began to talk about him, but he still spoke of the dreams of the humble, the hopes of the everyday people. "To those who come after me, everything begins with a simple faith, the belief that you can, that you have the power to rise and succeed." Hope was vast and shining bright, but the challenges were even greater, for even the bravest dreamers must face and weather fear. "We'll get through this, just like every time," she said with simple words. But they were enough to steady him, to give him strength once. Not everyone who makes a promise will keep it, but the true test continues, even if one must walk the path alone. Every look in their eyes spoke volumes, silently telling him, never give up. A powerful reminder to keep fighting against. The solution is not always found in the hands of the powerful. Sometimes it's the people themselves who create miracles that change. With simple words, hope began to spread, quietly growing stronger, touching hearts and lighting the way for a brighter tomorrow. People were waiting for a chance to help, and every heart full of goodness answered the call without hesitation. When your intentions are pure and your heart is true, even the entire world will stand beside you, supporting every step you take. He stumbled for a moment, but rose stronger than ever before, a testament to his resilience and unbreakable spirit. There was a day when everything almost fell apart, but love, the people, and faith came together to rebuild the dream, stronger and bigger than. The dream was achieved, but deep inside his heart, an even bigger dream was growing. One that kept expanding beyond all limits. On the very first day of school, his dream quietly began with a small step on a long, winding road. The first step is always the hardest, but once it's taken, creativity is born and everything that follows becomes a beautiful unfolding. Every dream needs people who truly believe in it, and others willing to take the very first step with you on the long journey ahead. Sometimes you need to be alone, wrapped in silence, just to hear your own thoughts clearly enough to find the path that truly belongs. Life never begins without a test. It challenges you from the start. But those who endure, who stand tall through the storms, are the ones. When goodness is your true intention, even the unknown will rise to stand by your side, as if the universe itself recognizes a pure. From a narrow street, his voice rose, louder and stronger, until it echoed across borders, shaking the edges of the world with purpose. One single dream touched countless hearts, and for a moment, humanity spoke the same language, the language of hope and unity. The end? No. This is just the beginning. And now the question is, are you ready to continue the journey with us?
Like the video, subscribe to the channel,